Coach, what's the status of Russell and Carmelo?
Both guys are out.
Were they able to do anything before the game during the walkthrough or anything?
Russ was in there this morning, working a little bit, trying to move around, getting some treatment. Both those guys will continue to do that.
Do you know how you start?
Yes, have an idea.
Are you
You gonna let us in on that?
No, not right now.
How about we?
The last game when both guys were out, what more do you want to ask from your role players?
Well, probably not finding out until almost really up to game time, because I think both guys were trying to see if they could play. And when it was found that we couldn't, I thought we started the game against the Lakers well. I thought the third quarter really was a challenge for us because we had a hard time scoring. I think in defense of those guys, with something like that happening so quickly and not a lot of practice time or ways to adjust, there was guys in different spots or different positions that was probably a little bit new for them. I think yesterday, not that we cured all of our issues there, but just the uncertainty of where Carmelo and Russell were going to be at today, got a chance to work on, maybe different lineups and different combinations of players, just to give them at least a little bit of a feel and understanding of what we've got to do going forward. But again, I think, for us, I thought as the game wore on against the Lakers, because we had a difficulty scoring, I really thought at times it really bled into our defense, and we've got to basically keep our focus on, one, generating good shots, living with the result, and then we've got to do a really, really good job defensively. We've got to be better than we were. I thought we did a good job defensively for most of the game, but I thought that third quarter, as we had a hard time scoring, it really got them out in transition. They were able to score.
Behind Raymond, still Alex on that point guard, or where?
Alex and Paul, one of those two guys back there. We'll see how that plays itself out. I feel confident in both those two guys handling the ball.
Billy, how do you approach how you want to use Daniel in those situations?
Well, that's hard just because he's been obviously played yesterday with the G League, and then he's back and forth with us because of the two-way. Try to do some stuff today with him, to get him up to speed. A lot of times for the G League, he's got the ball in his hands at the point. I do think he can play some there for us, but he probably doesn't really have a great understanding of all of our packages. So, do we use him as a playmaker and a creator off the ball? But he'll be available to play tonight.
For people who don't understand it, you guys run a lot similar stuff. There's similar sets, but just in terms of practicing with guys and all this stuff, how hard is it to ask him to come in and play point guard for your team?
Oh, I think it'd be very hard to do that, just because he's not with us every single day. And, there's certain commonalities between us and the G League, and speaking to Mark, their head coach, we discuss different things, but, not everything that we're doing offensively is going to be good for his team, and not everything he's doing offensively is good, but, the core package of how you're trying to play and what you're trying to do systematically in terms of philosophy is very, very similar. So I think for Daniel, that's an easier transition. But when you start getting into sets and different things that we're doing, some of that will be different.
Billy, numbers like 4 through 9 in the West are separated by 1 or 2 games in the loss column. Do you get the sense, obviously from the standings, it shows that those teams are jumbled up and pretty even, but do you get the sense on the court that the middle of the West is kind of more evenly competitive than in seasons past?
Well, it's very competitive. It's very, very good teams. Guys of different teams have battled, trades and injuries and different issues. But obviously the West, I think even before the season started, knew that it was going to be a very, very deep, conference. And, it's certainly proven that way.
Billy, do you see advantages when you have guys out like Carmelo, particularly for Pat Patterson, a guy who's had some inconsistency this season?
Yeah, I think these are all opportunities to me, because you never know what can happen. Carmelo ends up getting hurt early in the Golden State game, and we had to have some different guys step up in his absence, and we were able to do that. The consistency part, when a player's out, being able to play collectively well as a team is important. That's the challenge. But I always view this as an opportunity for other guys, to your point, to be able to step in and play and contribute, and maybe assume a larger role.
Have you seen this what have you seen from the minutes that you've seen Steven and Pat playing next to each other this season?
It's been okay. I thought Patrick had some really good looks in the game. I thought we generated some shots for him. He obviously didn't shoot the ball particularly well against the Lakers. I like those two guys on the floor together. Patrick's got a lot of flexibility on defense, as does Steven. Steven's a really good roller. Patrick's obviously a really good floor spacer. So I like both those guys playing together some.
Talk about guys taking on more of a role. How does that also impact Paul George, just the fact that those other two guys aren't there and that he has to become maybe more of a leader on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I really felt like Paul got off to a great start, in LA. I thought in the third quarter he had some looks. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well. Some of this is probably new for him from the standpoint of not having those guys with him, playing alongside of them for the majority of the season. But this is also an opportunity for him to grow and get better, and assume some different responsibilities as well.
Is there a point to where you tell them not to try to do too much because they're out, and obviously still spread the ball around to get other people involved?
No, I mean you have an expectation of how you want to play, and it's not necessarily about them telling you not to do too much, or it's about us trying to play the right way, us doing our job on both ends of the floor. Like I said, if we had control over shots going in the basket, we'd never miss a shot. We don't, but we do have control over getting back in transition. We do have control of rebounding the basketball. We have control of communicating and talking on defense. There's a lot of things that we have control over that we need to do a better job than we did the last game.
Billy, pardon me if you've been asked this already, but is this a situation where if it was like a playoff setting, hypothetically, like Russell and Carmelo would be able to play?
I never, ever asked that question, so I wouldn't know that. I just basically talk to the trainers, and they basically tell me who's available, who's not. I really don't ask much more than, hey, listen, if it's a playoff game, could this guy play? Or if it was this, could they play? I think people that have been around here for a while know Russell really, really well. He'll play regardless, so he's obviously got to be Allen. Carmelo's been a great player in this league and has battled a lot of different things. He's the same way. And those guys are competitive guys. They want to play. So I'm not saying they could or could not play, but I never gathered that information.
How do you feel Josh Eustace is doing as a starter?
He's done a good job. He's done a good job defensively. That's the biggest thing for me with him is, he has not shot the ball particularly well here in the last, 5 or 6 games. But he can still defend at a high level, and he can still rebound, and he can still protect the rim. There's things he has control over. As long as he's focusing on those things, that's really kind of how I would evaluate him. If he's taking open shots and good shots, we're going to live with that. But the other part, he's got to do at a high level.
Andre was able to, when he caught and the defense was sagging, kind of put the ball on the deck for 1 or 2 dribbles and make teams kind of guard him. Do you need Josh to be able to do some of that?
I don't think that's his strength.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to put him in that situation because I don't, one, he hasn't been in there very much of doing that, and I don't think that's necessarily his strength. I think he can be like Andre at times, cutting behind the defense and using his athleticism, going to the offensive glass, getting out in transition. But I think him putting the ball on the floor and trying to get him to make some plays, I don't know if that would be best for him.
There were a couple times in the Golden State game, in particular, where Josh would chase an offensive rebound and you'd have a mismatch on the other end, specifically with Clay, and Clay would get a decent shot, maybe that's not decent for other people, but is for Clay. Is that something that you have to work on with Josh, just knowing when to go back, when to
Yeah, it was a problem. Like there was just several times that happened that we didn't get burned on, but he's got to really do a better job, and I respect and appreciate his ability to rebound because he's always been a good rebounder. But at the same point, the ball's got to bounce to a specific area to have a chance to rebound, and when it doesn't, which especially if he's not on the weak side, he's got to go back, and balance the floor in transition, and he's got to pick his spots a little bit better. But I like dealing with Josh on that because he's doing something out of being aggressive. But at the same point, too, him balancing the floor is probably what we need in that situation.
When do you make that call if you're on the court as a player? Like, is it when the ball's in the air you have to make the decision? Like, at what point?
Well, it's different. You're dealing with different players. If it's Alex Abrinas, the minute that he thinks the guy's shooting, start running back. He's just not going to rebound. But guys like Andre, you talk to him. Is he on the weak side? Is his man looking at him? Is his man going to block out? Can he slip inside and around people because they've lost sight of him? Is he on the strong side? Where probably majority of the rebounds are going to go up to the weak side. Probably going to be a really hard rebound to go get because, regardless of your man seeing you or doesn't see you, it's just a hard rebound coming from the strong. So you got to get back. So Russell's penetration. There's times he's in the lane and a lot of times he's not blocked out. Giving him the freedom to do it because he's good at that. So I don't think you just want to take away all those guys' opportunities. There's just certain guys that are not going to be great offensive rebounders. Like Raymond Felton, when he goes down the lane and penetrates, there's no reason for him to stay in there and try to rebound. That's not his strength. He needs to go back. So everybody's a little bit different, you know. And you try to talk those guys through those situations, you know, where they can kind of make good choices.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you.